Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hey, David, how are you doing tonight?
Good, Bruce. The Oilers are in first place in the Western Conference. We are now at
Wow.
American Thanksgiving, I believe. I'm not exactly sure what day that is, but
It's
let me
next
just.
Thursday, I think it is.
Yeah, that's late.
It is. Yeah, it just depends where in the week it falls in the calendar. And I think next Thursday is the 28th. It's the fourth Thursday in November. So the 28th is the latest it can be.
Wow.
I
First,
know these things because they're unimportant.
well, I didn't even know the Grey Cup game was today until you told me. And
Ah,
then, so yeah, a big win in kind of a typical sketchy, weird kind of game against the Arizona Coyotes, where it's just kind of confusing about what's going on because the play is always so fractured and full of incidents. But nonetheless, Bruce, a huge, huge win for the Oilers. Things are going well for this team right now, and they are
take
they are
those,
they they're a good team.
take those 2 points and get the heck out of Dodge.
Exactly.
But that's 2 points that maybe a less good team just wouldn't have got either point out of that game. How many times have we seen the Oilers get frustrated by the Coyotes and fail to mount something in the third period? And this is twice now this year that the Oilers have been down to Arizona in the dying minutes, and both times they manufactured a tying goal out of a depth line. It was Gaetan Haas who tipped home the tying goal in Edmonton. That game they lost in overtime, but in the end they wound up with 3 points, one from that game and two from tonight after Marcus Granlund, new scoring hero for Edmonton, managed to tie it up, and then they were able to extend it to the shootout and put it away in the gimmick time.
Go to the net and good things happen, right? That's what every minor hockey
Well,
coach tells their players, and that's exactly what happened with Granlund on that play.
yeah. Well, then what do you know? Sometimes the other team's goalie makes a mistake at clutch time, and that's what happened there. Kemper was good in this game, but I don't think he'd be very happy with that rebound, and it was a crucial play, and Granlund buried the second opportunity.
So, Bruce, this is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast. As is our recent custom, we're going to go with two good things each, at least when it merits it on the orders. Well, we won't always do it, but I'll start with my first good thing was Nico Koskinen, Bruce, and when the Oilers were behind in the third period, down a goal in the third period, Arizona had two absolutely
Mhm.
grand chances to score. And the first one is kind of a puck's thrown at net, bounces out into the slot, and Grabner just fires it at net, and Koskinen makes the save. And
Bad save, eh?
the second one, we have Connor Garland. Is that his name? Connor
Yes.
Garland. He comes in there and just absolutely. Who did he go? What was I'm just trying to think of the play again. Who did he go around there? We got it marked down here.
Yeah, I sure do.
It's not there. Let me see. It
Was
must be
one
here.
guy, yeah, it was Clefbaum that got beat and Jones that got beat on that play.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm just anyway. The key thing was the shot on the play,
Hmm.
and
The save was the key thing.
yeah, the both. Um, so yeah, now I remember the play. Gagner loses the puck at center ice, and Jones is unable to. Puck comes down the side, and the puck gets passed into the middle. Jones can't stop the pass, and Clefbaum's not there for whatever reason. Something might have happened, but anyway, he wasn't there to cover Garland, and Garland just fires a great shot. That was the save of the game. And what a save by Koskinen. Two fantastic saves. It's funny on the first sequence with Grabner, I think Ethan Bear took the rebound. Like there was a rebound there. It looked to me like Bear absolutely hammered the rebound right into Koskinen to stop the play too. I don't know if you noticed that, but so maybe there was three saves there. But I think if it was Bear, cool-handed Ethan Bear, you know that he's putting it into a safe place in Koskinen to smother the playoff. But and then shootout, all three saves. Koskinen makes all three saves. I mean, I can remember some shootouts last year where he just looked like what is he doing in that? He was so
Hmm.
bad in the shootout. He looked so discombobulated, but he just man, he is playing smothering goalie right now. He is playing really, really well. And every time he's net, I don't know how you feel about it, Bruce, but I just feel confident.
I feel very confident. To me, he's been the better of the two goalies and certainly the more consistent. And he's a tower of power in there in my eyes. I mean, in the shootout, the first two are officially recorded as misses, but he didn't give those guys a whole lot to shoot at. And I mean, the one guy made a really good move to the backhand side, and Koskinen went with him and basically
Garland.
took the net away. That was Garland.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Vinny Hinostroza, who's a pain in the side for Oilers generally. He tried to do the exact same thing that McDavid did on the one shootout play that did go in the net with a series of deft little stick handles. And then he tried to open up Koskinen and stiffed it in through the 5-hole, just like McDavid had done. But for one thing, Vinny Hinostroza's defty little stick handlers are nowhere near as defty as Connor McDavid, who's an incredible stick handler. And secondly, Koskinen sealed that hole, and he sealed the deal. That was a big tough save that he made to finish that shootout off, and good to see, and good to see his reaction, man. He's playing to win, and you can see that in you know all of the a lot of the stats analyzers, and especially the fancy stat buffs, poo-poo goalie wins as a stat. But if you ask any goalie worth his salt, what's most important to him, he'll say getting the win. Of course, all the out players will say the same thing too, and they don't get credit for the win, which is what the problem is with the stat. But the goalie's playing that game to win it, and he won it, and he was happy about it, and I love to see that.
Was it Yari Curry who recommended Koskinen to the Oilers? I mean,
That's
probably
what I understand.
Among other people. Yari Curry knows a thing or two about goalies, I think, having beat them on a regular basis. So, Bruce, your good thing.
My first good thing, I got to go with Sam Gagner tonight. An old favorite, an old whipping boy also from years back. And he was called into emergency service after 3 games in the press box to not only come down into the lineup, but to come down into the specific role that he used to play for years, 2C, where he filled in more than ably for an ailing Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who has a hand injury that's going to keep him out for a couple games. And this is where having depth in the lineup is just so important, right? Because you think, here are the Oilers basically with the first line doing a lot of the damage, and the second line is Nuge and a cast of thousands after that. No, Nuge, things are looking pretty dire. But Gagner came down and he did the job. And, he did it with skill and he did it with determination. Man, he played a hard, battling game. He won a lot of battles. He decked Darcy Kemper one time when he went right through the blue paint. I was a little surprised he got away with that one, but he was playing for keeps and earned an assist. Nice assist on the Alex Chason goal when he recovered a deflected pass that bounced back to him, and he made wasted no time in feeding the trailer at Alex Chason, and he wasted no time putting it home. And that was a well-earned goal for that line, because they absolutely dominated the shot shares. I think when Gagner was on the ice, the shots were 11 for the Oilers and 3 for Arizona. Like, they really dominated play.
Yeah,
and they earned their.
Three kind of slower players, Bruce, too.
Mm-hmm. 3 veterans, like
Chason, Neal, and Gagner. And I think, Bruce, that Sam Gagner is a better player in this incarnation with the Oilers than he was the first time around. Because the first time around, maybe he had a bit more offensive game, but his defensive game was terrible. I mean, he really was one of the worst defensive players in the NHL right now. And now I have no qualms about him on defense. Like, I'm not sure center on defense, but certainly on the wing. And he's a smart player now. Like, I just, everything he does on the ice seems smart, and he really plays hard. I like Sam Gagner, and I think he should be in the lineup most nights, honestly.
He's playing for his job, and he was playing for it tonight, and it was good to see, and it was good to see him get rewarded for it. And, I mean, he's at that stage in his career that surely he knows he's getting nearer the end of the line, and he's got to do whatever he can to claw and battle. And so he's not just relying on his high-end vision and skill play, but he's engaging in the battle, and like I say, he won his share of them tonight and then some.
Certainly
So
got good hands still. So my second good thing, Bruce, will be Dave Tippett's overtime strategy. And so Dave Tippett's been in the NHL he's been through overtime a lot, but overtime, the strategies are constantly changing, I believe, in the NHL of how to deal with this. And I think there was two wrinkles tonight that, if I'm not mistaken, were the first time we've seen from Tippett. The first one, has he called a timeout before to rest McDavid and Draisaitl? If not, why not? But of course, better
well,
late than
usually
never.
there's no whistles.
Yeah, well, that's often the case, isn't there? There's often no whistles, but I can't recall. Have we ever seen an Oilers coach call a timeout to get
I
McDavid
think
and
so,
Draisaitl and
but not for a
a
while.
breather? I don't think it's a common strategy when it should be like every time there's a face-off, you should call your timeout, give those guys a breather, put them back out there. That should be the strategy, like just without thinking, kind of like the rote play. You do it every time. He did it. So anyway, he did that. I like that. Plus, then, the Oilers are a little short on fast forwards. And I guess Dave Tippett didn't want to listen to the Cult of Hockey podcast, as I'm sure he always does, and hear me complaining about James Neal on the ice in overtime again. So he instead did this very smart thing, Bruce, and he put out Ethan Bear and Darnell Nurse. And
Hmm.
that was really, really good. Both of those players can skate, both can fly. He had Sam Gagner there, who's not a fast player, but he's really smart, and he can get around okay enough. So I liked that as well. Like the two defensemen, and I think we saw it again later. Can't remember who the two were later, but I think we saw maybe Clefbaum and Nurse at the same time, if I'm not mistaken. It was a bit of a fracture play that was right at the end of the game when Draisaitl couldn't get off the ice. But
After he got tripped and nobody noticed.
yeah, after he got tripped. But both those strategies, especially when you don't have RNH. But I think I'd
Mhm.
love to see RNH,
Do the
Bear,
same
and
thing with
Nurse.
RNH. I mean, Gagne was in he was the RNH surrogate, and I think, like, it makes sense. I think because they have better defensive coverage there, with two actual experienced defensemen. But also, I mean, if you're just sort of looking for pure skill, and who are your six best players that are able to cover the ice and skate, but also do stuff with the puck and dart into holes and try and create things offensively. I got no problem with either Ethan Bear or Darnell Nurse or both of them together in an overtime scenario. I didn't
Well,
mind that at all.
they both had really good chances, their opportunities.
Yes,
Nurse especially, and Bear came
yes.
charging in on the net, and that was
Hmm.
that was fantastic. So I really like that. That's my second good thing. What is your second good thing?
Oh, what was my second good thing? I had something. Uh,
Uh,
rats. Uh, I had it all picked out too. Oh well. We had. Sorry, David. Sorry, folks. Usually, maybe I should write it down next time. But I guess we're going uh,
well,
I'm
what's your
gonna, I'm gonna ad lib, and I'm gonna go with Connor McDavid's post game interview
what did he
when he
say?
when he said that he was asked about what he was thinking when he came in on the shootout. Was he planning to go 5-hole? Did he have it up his sleeve the whole time? And the very first thing he says was, "I'm not going to reveal my thought processes." And he kept an absolute deadpan, straight face throughout. He just sort of answered the question as much as he was going to. He said, "I tried to open up a hole, and when I saw one, I was going to put the puck there." And then he just sort of looked at the guy deadpan, and that was that. So
Your
that
second
was.
good thing was Ethan Bear, as I recall.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
We
Yes.
were just raving about him, so that's what
Yeah.
confused you. You were,
Well, yes.
like, how
Ethan
can the
Bear
yeah.
and his offensive confidence, which tonight showed up with him several times in the slot with the puck, firing it on net. One early in the game, which I thought was a good one-time shot that I personally thought was a great A scoring chance. We can debate that, but it was a very good play where he was in good and he fired it like because it was a one-timer. I thought it was a good chance. And then in the third period, with the game in the line, time and again, he was there. He had one chance that was just tipped into the netting, then another one where he dangled a guy out of his skates and got a good shot away. And I don't think he made the shot that he wanted, but the move he made to set up the shot was just dandy. And then in the overtime, that play you already referenced, where he barged right to the net front and crashed into the whole scene in the blue paint with three guys all going down, including the goalie. And just aggressive offensive play. And he's starting to think goals, and he is a goal scorer. Like he scored goals in junior, and he's now got 4 goals for Edmonton, which doesn't sound like a lot. But when you add up all the defenseman goals on the team, you got 4 from Bear, 1 from Clefbaum, 1 from Brandon Manning of all people, and 2 from Nurse. So 8 for the team, of which the rookie Ethan Bear has half. So
And
he's
we
thinking goals. He's thinking scoring, not just passing, but scoring.
you know it was funny, like all these years watching him, well, all these years, 2 years, whatever it was, watching him in Bakersfield, we I never saw that kind of offensive confidence from Ethan Bear. Like he was a good player at the AHL level, but like that toe drag move, the aggressiveness on the attack. He. It is the most remarkable transformation in 1 year I've seen of a hockey player.
Mhm.
Um, I can't think of an Oilers player, Bruce, that I've ever seen. Now, of course, we didn't watch the farm team in the old days, right? So we weren't
Right.
as aware. But maybe this happened like to Charlie Huddy. I don't know, but remarkable.
Well, here's Bears. He played 4 years in Seattle, and he went from 6 goals to 13 to 19 to 28.
There you go.
Like every year, a significant improvement in actual goals scored than he had in previous years. So he does think like a goal scorer. I watched him play in junior on the terrific power play they had there in Seattle when he won Defenseman of the Year in the WHL, and they won the league and went to the Memorial Cup. He was a huge part of that, and I'm just loving his what they call, I don't love this expression, but it's a common one these days, hockey IQ, just his smarts, his within the game, his ability to make very fast decisions and good right decisions a very large percentage of the time, of where is the safe place to move this puck, where is the most aggressive way to advance this puck. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing. And all these years now, I've been hoping that one of these times, the player that I've sort of coveted on another team for a long time is Jared Spurgeon of the Minnesota Wild, a local fellow who sort of slipped through the cracks, and he made it into Minnesota. And all he did, right shot, small, puck moving defenseman, all he did was get better and better and better. And you think, what's this guy doing in the top four? And after a few years, you go, well, he's in the top four because he's one of the best defensemen in the league. And I'm seeing that type of player, at least to some extent, in Ethan Bear. Just a guy who moves the puck and plays with smarts and confidence, and chips in way more than you think he would, based on what he in terms of his size and his overall sort of. He doesn't have dominating skills, but get that puck moving and watch him play.
My bad thing, Bruce, is just one play. I'm not going to make a lot of it because we complain about the refs a lot. But come on,
Oh,
that
come
was
on, let's complain
holding.
some more.
That was holding on. Come on,
You
what
think?
is what is hold? If that's not holding, there's two refs on the ice. There's a high guy and a low guy. Can't the high guy who's at the blue line take a look over there and say, "You're holding his leg. It's a penalty." And to make matters worse, of course,
If you hold it for more than 10 seconds, we're going to call you next time. We tell you, just you're going to have to let
Jesus.
go after less. It's like I called it in the player grades. I referred to it as steer wrestling, and I think there's no rule in the books against steer wrestling, so that's why they had to let it go.
Maybe they both had their eyes somewhere else. I don't know. But come on, that's
I've got a candidate location for where their heads were.
yeah. I on that same play, you could also kind of single out Cassian and Dreisaitl's defense for being not that good either.
Well, the
But
guy
let's
he came from nowhere because he was
yeah,
out. He was in the neutral zone on the boards for
five
those
on
5
four.
or 8 or 25
Yeah.
seconds, or however long he was holding on to McDavid, and then he pops in out of nowhere, and the guy made a really good pass from behind the net, like he reversed it out the short side, and Fisher, the culprit who got away with the hold, uh, lashed home a great shot. Like he certainly took advantage of his opportunity. But I was irrationally angry after that goal, and I remained angry after the next goal, a minute and a half later, when my bad thing, Joachim Nygaard got uh, got helped into his own crease with a little kind of shot from behind by 21 Derek Stepan, who pushed off on Nygaard and sent him into the crease where he couldn't have been more in the way of Koskinen if he tried. He blocked his view. He took his space away from where he could set up for the shot. Koskinen couldn't even see the puck coming, and of course it hits him and bounces into the net. That was, again, one of those sort of veteran fouls that Arizona, like I saw about 8 pick plays where an Edmonton forward got picked deep in Arizona territory as they were breaking up with the puck, and that guy would get trapped, and Arizona would get an odd man rush through the neutral zone, and it was happening all game. But Nygaard, he took a kind of iffy penalty himself for slashing that resulted in the 1-1 goal. So he was in the box for one goal and he was in the blue paint for another. And all that in about 7 minutes and 38 seconds, which made him the least used Oilers regular tonight and implicated on 2 goals against. So that's a pretty tough night for Joachim Nygaard. And he really didn't get much going the other way. I liked the player, I just didn't like his game tonight.
Yeah, I didn't. The Stepan
A
play I
little
thought
outlet.
was pretty incidental. Like it was not like he wasn't trying to push him into the goalie necessarily. He was trying to bump him on purpose, but just worked out extremely badly for the Edmonton Oilers. So Bruce, we'll move on now to our numbers, and my number will be 29, which just leapt off the page at me.
Number 29, eh?
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl's time on ice that game, 29 minutes. Wow, that's now they played a lot of that in overtime, right? But pretty
He
amazing.
played. He and McDavid and Cassian all played the last 1 minute and 37 seconds of regulation time. They had a long, long shift down the stretch, and they kept the puck in Arizona territory and nearly made something happen. I thought, well, this is a fun strategy to wind your star players just before overtime, and yet, despite that finish, Draisaitl played 4 minutes 10 seconds in overtime, and McDavid an even 4 minutes out of the five.
Draisaitl was so tired. It finally caught up to him on the shootout, Bruce. He was so all he could do was come in and slap the puck as hard as he could at the net. He just
That's
couldn't
a
he couldn't
that's
lift
a
his
play
arms
of his.
anymore.
He's done that before.
I
He
know,
he
yeah.
he won a game, the Sedin retirement game. I was at that game, and Draisaitl won it on a slap shot in the shootout. You don't see it very often, but
It's probably not a terrible play.
Kemper made a great save there. Leon did not miss with that shot.
It's how Johan Neeskens used to take penalties in world football. He was a famous player for the Dutch team. What is your number, Bruce?
Well, I kind of got two numbers, but let's start with 116, which is now the Oilers have 16 wins. And the other number is 34, which is the number of years since the last time the Oilers had 16 wins at this stage of the season through 26 games. That was the phenomenal 1985-86 campaign. Uh,
Wow.
the year the Oilers didn't win in the playoffs, but they they were in record smashing mode throughout the season. That was the year Paul Coffey scored 48 goals, and the Oilers were just filling the net. They won the President's Trophy. And through 26 games that year, they were 18-4-4, and that was the last time they were better than this year's 16-7-3. Now, mind you, we've had some change, obviously, big change in the way points are awarded, where they've got 2 shootout wins that they would not have earned that year. So,
And overtime. Yeah.
yeah, so presumably, let's take that 18-4-4 and say, well, they probably would have won at least 2 of the 4 overtime games, one way or another. They might even won 3 of them. Uh, but from that year to this, they've never had a start as strong as this. I mentioned it early in the broadcast, and holy moly, they're right. And yeah,
Bruce.
six,
They would have won
16, 7-3.
Bruce. They would have had Curry, Coffee, and Gretzky. They
Three
would
on
have
three
every
overtime.
game. They would have won every game in overtime.
3-on-3 overtime would have been something, right?
Yeah, well, just as soon as you said that, it popped in my head: Curry, Coffey, and Gretzky. And then you put out Messier, Anderson, and probably what, Huddy, I guess.
Yep.
You're going to win a lot of games in overtime. It's not going to be very pretty in overtime. Remember, because they had to get rid of the 4-on-4. They had to you know,
Yeah, they didn't have
finagle
to,
the
but
rules. They
they
finagled the
did
rules to get,
because
yeah, because the Oilers were going to be they were so dominant in 4-on-4 play. So anyway, that was a very sweet thought to pop in my head all of a sudden. I wish I'd seen that. I wish I'd seen that. That would have been a lot of fun. I'd like to see McDavid and Draisaitl against Gretzky, and I don't know if any overtime would have gone more than 1 minute if you had McDavid, Draisaitl, and Clefbaum against Coffey, Curry, and Gretzky. If the overtime goes more than a minute, the goaltenders are standing on their heads, every 15 seconds. But that would be fun to see. Alrighty, I think we're done. You've got your game grades posted.
I do. I do. I just need to add this podcast in a minute here and clean up probably a couple of typos because I published when we were ready to go on air here, and it's not quite the 100% version, but the 99% version is up.
All right. Nothing wrong with 99 in Edmonton, Bruce.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Or the 97% version. That's actually probably a better descriptor. Anyway, it's always more fun to cover a win, and especially fun when they pull a win out of the hat. It looked like a losing situation in the late going, and we'll take those 2 points and run all the way to Colorado.
Yeah, you know what? It was karma that the Oilers won that, Bruce, with the holding on McDavid's leg there, and the thing on Nygaard there, the 2 goals. There had to be some kind of response from that, and the hockey gods stepped up to the plate. All right, thanks for talking tonight.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.